With this season and beyond, we want to go a little deeper, bring clearer information, dive deeper into our problem areas and find solutions. We're putting it all on the table for you this season. Cut Deep is a multi-platform show covering social and political issues across the Virgin Islands. Its viewership continues to grow, reaching some 6,000 to 10,000 viewers weekly. It cuts across demographics and captures an international audience. Of course, we cannot bring you these issues without your generous support for advertising opportunities. Please call or WhatsApp 284-440-3234. Supporters may also donate to Cut Deep and the issues it supports through our ATH Mobile 284-440-3234 or via checks. Or cash donations will be kept confidential. Send words of encouragement, comments, leads, and social concerns. We say thank you to our donors so far for this season, and thank you to our host location for your continued support of the Cut Deep platform. Thank you to our viewing audience and supporters for watching and sharing our content weekly. Cut Deep airs every Tuesday, 8 p.m. live via our Facebook, YouTube, and 90.9 FM. Tonight, we have the amazing photographer extraordinaire, Andre Shadow Dawson on set. He's smiling, he's blushing. I love when men blush with me. We'll be discussing an array of topics tonight, a very candid and enlightening conversation. But before we get to it, we're going to take a short break, and we'll be right back to get ourselves into the conversation for tonight. On set tonight with photographer extraordinaire Andre Shadow Dawson, and I can tell you that Shadow almost took me off of hiatus, Cut Deep. He really wanted to have this conversation. You know, there are some things sitting on his chest as it relates to, you know, how photographers, the media is handled, and different things that's occurring in the BVI. So I'm delighted to have him within this season, and we're gonna have a very candid conversation tonight. And to kick that off, you know, we always say, if we can ask you, Shadow, you prefer if I use Shadow for the evening, right? If you can just introduce yourself to us. You're a very famous photographer, just not only across the British Virgin Islands, but also the U.S. Virgin Islands. So the entire Virgin Islands, you're celebrated, and beyond our shores as well. But if you want to just introduce yourself to the listening public, and then we can go from there.
First of all, pleasant good evening to the listening audience. Thanks for having me, Sydney. I'm honored and happy to be here. It's a pleasure, one that I treasure, so don't you dare measure. So if you're near or far, or you're in your bus or your car, peace and blessing.
I love it. I love it.
So introduction. Okay, by the way, my right name is Andre Shadow Dawson. I got naturalized in 1993 in the U.S., so I changed it and make it official. Back in high school, or my early days in Tortola, or my government name back when I was born was L'Ariel Antonio Dawson.
L'Ariel.
So I never liked L'Ariel, and I think Antonio was Spanish. So as time went on, and when I had a chance to get naturalized, I could do it without going to the court and writing any message that I'm not running away from the law. So Andre Dawson was a great baseball player. He's at the Hall of Fame. So I said, let me use Andre. And like from 1977, people started calling me Shadow. So then I just like, okay, let me use Andre Shadow Dawson as my official name. Okay, so a little bit about myself. I got to give you the edit.
Can I ask you, like, when you changed your name, your parents were still alive?
Correct.
How did they feel?
Okay, People asked me that, and I was like surprised. I think I told my mother. I was living in St. Thomas, and she was living in St. Thomas. I don't remember what she said, but I don't understand why that would have been an issue because I'm a grown man now.
Yeah.
And I thought it was necessary to do it.
Yeah.
And what it is, my father was a stout, a late Prince Stout. And then people ask me like, well, why you didn't change Dawson to Stout? I said, nah.
Yeah. Not like I wasn't asking like whether she was, you know, it's a decision you can make as an adult. But you know, parents could be fickle. They'd be like, I named you that. Why don't you like, you know, they kind of get a little offended that, you know.
I don't know if she was.
Like, yeah. So that's why I asked.
She didn't say much, but it is what it is. It happened.
Right. Okay.
Okay, so a little bit about myself. Born and bred in Ballas Bay, Tortola. I was not born in a hospital. I don't know if it was Cottage back then.
Cottage
but
hospital.
So
correct.
I salute the midwives from long ago because
Yeah.
I think they did a great job. So born in Tortola, went to back in my days going to school, it was Methodist Church, kindergarten based school. So then I think in 1970 we moved down to Ivan Dawson Primary School, and I went to BVI High back then. I graduated 1976, class of 76. Then I moved to St. Thomas December 76. My first job was 1977 working at Pueblo Supermarket.
Pueblo?
And then after Pueblo, I moved on to Little Switzerland in 1985. Then I worked there for 21 years and months.
Wow.
Then I decided to move back to Tortola January 1st, 2008. But before I come back to Tortola, so while I was in St. Thomas, actually, I worked for 1000 AM radio station for 18 years. That was like my dream part-time job. I was a board operator.
That's in the U.S. Virgin Islands?
Yeah, sometime I had a little Sunday morning religious/educational program. While I was there, I played softball from 1980 to 2007. And what else? So that were my basic jobs. Pueblo, Little Switzerland, and 1000 AM.
Yeah. So you know a little bit about jewelry?
No, I wasn't in the sales department.
Okay.
I was like in the warehouse, like a warehouse clerk.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah. So,
All
so let me simplify me. I like to say I'm a regular, down-to-earth guy, friendly. So I like to say I'm about the S's. So I have 8 of them.
8 S's.
Sun, sand, sea, swimming, snorkeling, sailing, sunset, softball, seafood. That's actually 9. Outside of the S's, I like hiking, photography, obviously, music. You introduced me as a world-famous photographer, but I love music as a DJ sometimes.
Oh, do you?
I like traveling.
We're learning some things tonight.
Yeah, I love traveling, and I love dancing.
Okay. I love your shirt. I really like your shirt.
Thank you. I decided to dress up on Mr. Casual, just for you, just for you.
Thank you. And then maybe if you can fit your family life in there, like do you have children, etc. If you wanna share a bit about that.
Yeah, no problem. I have 2 sons.
Okay.
I start late for school. Andre Dawson is the first. He is 18. He made 18 in January. Dwight Lavity Dawson. He's going to be 16 in May. And you know, when I was young, I used to hear about like father, like son, and I experienced it, and it'll blow me away that my son could be so much like me. So.
And that's the second son?
Yes,
or the old one?
the second one. So the sad thing about the juggling is after the hurricane, they moved to Florida. They were living in St. Thomas, so they moved to Florida. And you know, teenagers, they get comfortable, and I'm not gonna disturb them. So the mother said she's gonna keep them there. They went up first with the sister. And I wasn't too thrilled, and afterwards, although she's married, she decided to go up, and I was happy because I believe children should be with a parent. Yeah, so they are settling in Florida. I am just going to graduate in June, And Dwight, he has aspiration to play football in the NFL.
Okay.
I'm not going to detour him from his dreams, so I will be there to support him.
Alrighty. I love it. So, you know, we can now kind of jump into the conversation that we hope to have for the next hour and a half at least. You know, a lot of this conversation is kind of surrounding mostly the 2023 festival. Is going to start there, how that unfolded. I know there was some dissatisfaction with photographers, the media, in terms of how we were handled. So what I want to ask you to do is kind of walk us through your experience with that, and we're going to try to just like break it down from here and, you know, get in whatever questions, etc. We need to have in there.
Okay, thank you. And you could tell us what was the name of the meeting where the press went to meet?
Oh, right. So, I can't even tell you what the exact name of the meeting was, but there was a press conference.
The press went to meet with the head of the Festival and Fair Committee.
Right. So there was a press conference that was held last year. I think it was like the week before festival actually kicked off. And the meeting was upstairs of the Premier's office in the conference room. And it was really because a lot was unfolding with the press from the prior weeks. And I think everything came to head because the press was kind of blocked out of being in attendance at or covering the Miss BVI show. I think that's where it kind of hit a pitch. And so they called a meeting with the entire press like a week before festival, and you know, a lot unfolded in that meeting, how persons felt. You know, we even got called, you know, kind of entitled, like all sorts of words, you know, are thrown around. But I think we kind of, and me speaking as part of the press too, we kind of tried to temper our feelings so we could get through the meeting to kind of understand everything that was happening. So if you want to talk to us about your experience from that, I know there's some stuff that hit fever pitch with you, some of the other photographers, so and media.
Yeah,
so
thank you. I used to be shy,
yeah.
but not anymore.
Oof.
So, and I'm glad you was there at the meeting.
I was there,
so
yes.
I would not come here and make up stories. So let's say you're telling a close friend or relative, I'm going to a meeting with XYZ, ABC at a certain time at a certain place. So when you join your friend or your family, they're going to ask you, so how was the meeting?
Right.
And then in this case with that meeting, if anybody had asked me that, I would have said, it's the first meeting that I went to that was not productive.
Yeah.
That will be the general word. Okay, so I don't know where to start, but I'm going to start out with a humorous one. And I met you on the street one and I told you and I didn't realize, okay, the press pass. So here is it, we're in this meeting. The chairman, Mr. Walters, started giving out press passes.
This is Dirk Walters.
Yes. So sitting there.
Well, they had passes for some of the media.
Yeah.
Some of the media still didn't get passes until like the day before festival started. Yeah.
No, so what I'm saying, everybody's in the room almost. There was a press pass for them. And then Mr. Walters ended up saying, well, Shadow, I don't know what happened to yours, but we will get you one. So was it true you didn't get one either?
I didn't get one. I got mine the Friday.
Okay.
I think it was the Friday before festival kicked off, that Friday night.
So
Yes.
so here it is. So like why
There's
was
a lot of run around.
Yeah, so what I was saying, why I'm gonna start out light first. So what are the chances are? Okay, three things could happen. While printing the passes, the current could go, the ink could run out, or the paper could run out. But you should have backup ink and paper.
Yeah.
So if you have current, so you're gonna honestly tell me, for whatever reason, there was not one for Andre, Dawson, or Miss Roseanne. And that kind of catch me off guard. Okay, let's move on. So during the meeting, I asked a few questions. Kareem Nelson Hall, I guess he was speaking for the festival committee on how they're going to handle the press and photographers. So honestly, he said a lot of things, and to myself, I said, there are advisors and advisors, and nothing that he said kind of registered with me as something good for the press or photographers.
Right.
So that was that. And so I have to highlight what I think was the worst part of the meeting. And I'm going to highlight 4 guys who were there. Cleve Farrington, we happen to be sitting almost together. Cleve Farrington, Dean Grenaway, was myself and Kelvin Titley. So highlight those 4 guys there. So now Mr. Andre Grimes, that's his last name. DJ Dre. DJ Dre shocked me, and I guess others that was there. They told me they were not pleased. I kind of remember he was sitting on the left side and we were on the right side. So Mr. Walter said, Dre, you have your hand up. Do you have a question? He said, well, I don't really have a question, but I have some comments. So the first thing he got up and said, some of you guys here think you're entitled. And that kind of catch me off guard. It threw me a curveball. And Sydney, over the years, I like to conduct myself as a respectable citizen. I never want to come off as a rude boy. And I got 2 sons. I want to be a good example for them. So what happened now? After I don't ask my questions, I didn't want to. I basically tuned them out after a while. I didn't want to ask any more questions. So
yeah.
So
because you felt the way he came off was just disrespectful.
Yeah. So no. After Kareem, after I tuned out Kareem, I don't have anything to say anything else to say. I'm going to sit and listen. But when Dre got up, I was tempted to speak, but then I said, boy, I don't want to mash up the meeting. So I'm going to say nicely to Dre, I think you crossed the line. And I didn't believe you living here for a good while, eating well, you don't burn the hand that feed you. I was very disappointed because, and then as the meeting went on, and after the meeting, then you get to learn who connected to who, and he did not bring any substance to the meeting. So then I get to understand his relationship. This
is DJ Dre?
Yeah. I understand his relationship with DJ Bartlett. So what it is, he came there to stand by his guys, which was
106.
Yeah. And I was disappointed, very disappointed, because Kathy Richards, JTV, Ricky 284, Julia Donovan, BVI News.
Yeah. Yes, she was there.
The white guy from Beacon. They didn't get up and disrespect us. And I was a little disappointed that none of my guys spoke. So if one of them might get up and speak, I'd have said something. But I didn't want to mash up the meeting. So I did say, well, man, I got to address this. And I'm glad for this opportunity so I could say it and put it out there before the carnival start. And the other thing with the festival committee, yes, I had my little frustration with passes, and I also don't like the runaround. I remember I had to call Doc Walters twice, and I tell him, well, I don't have my passes as yet. So then he told me, he forwarded me Kareem number. Kareem told me, on a certain date, go to the Festival and Fair Committee. They're there every night after midnight. There was a late show. I went there, 4 ladies there, no pass for $100,000. So I said, like, man, I ain't running up and down behind people for passes. So while we're on the subject of pass, I didn't understand. There was a pass for the village and there was a pass for the Queen show. I don't understand if the same Festival and Fair Committee, why should you need 2 passes? And in modern time, once you give everybody email address, they send in your photo, you create a pass, you send the pass to the phone. And you could save money, and you don't have to worry about ink and paper. And when you show up at the gate, you should just, this is ABC. So saying I'm here, hoping that some of what happened last year would not happen again. Okay, the other thing is with the, okay, I went to the Queen show.
Yeah.
I was also...
Before you go on, I kind of, because I was there too, and I kind of felt like there were a couple things happening and there were maybe different agendas at play. So if we talk about Kareem, you know, I always kind of, I don't want to use the word pass, but Kareem works in media and he works in PR. And maybe sometimes kind of what he wanted to put forward kind of got mixed up in other people's agendas. That's kind of what I came away feeling from that meeting that day. Because I think Kareem was trying to say that, you know, they wanted the media to register. I think where the issues were coming in, they were asking us to register for which events we would attend. And the media was basically like, why, you know, do we have to do that now? And, you know, sometimes we don't know where we're going to be, sometimes until the last minute. But he was saying that it was an endeavor to be able to make the media more comfortable. And I kind of wanted to believe that that's where he was coming from. I think for other people, it was about a control mechanism for the media, where it would be broken down in terms of, you know, like the Queen show, who can come, who isn't going to be there, who the sponsors were, and so forth. So it became really messy, is what I think you're trying to say. The media got confused, and it kind of went from there. And I think the biggest blow up as we come to the Queen show was kind of at the Queen show. And this is where things, I think I said, as we said, came to a fever pitch when the media was shut down. JTV was coming over live and saying they couldn't be at the Queen show. They were being put out.
I think that was the Prince and Princess first.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Because
it might have been.
That was first.
Yes, you're right. The week before.
Yeah,
yes.
and they asked...
And it was going to be the same for the Queen show.
Yeah, they asked JTV to leave.
Yes.
And in all fairness, I look at it as, let's keep it simple, small community. I'm going to say that a few times here tonight. You talk to JTV, you talk to 284 Media, and you said, well, we would like to get as much persons come to these pageants and pay. So please, you can record the show,
but don't go live.
But don't go live.
Right.
And I don't think that was that wouldn't be hard to put over. But I think what was ugly also, I think that
284 was allowed to be there.
Mr. Walters had to come and apologize the next day after the negative publicity. And what was sad, security tell Kelvin A, and then the next day Doug had to put a spin on it that we did not have any agreement with any media house. And I think that was sad in itself when you look at JTV. JTV been on the block a long time, and I just think it was disrespect, and that should have been handled better. So now I was telling you about the Queen show. So I actually didn't get my pass till, I think I didn't get my pass maybe till the same day, but then I also had it on my phone. So when I got there a little late, I was going in my bag for my pass, and then the security, like, come on, man, you go in, you go in. So when I got in there, I see how this stage was set up. And that's the first time, I'm not going to say I was to every Queen show, that's the first time I saw that kind of setup. They put the judges right in front of the stage. And Kathy Richards were over on the left side. So she's a good way filming with her cell phone. Dean Grenow and Cleve Farrington was in a corner in one of the entrance exit downstairs. And I was like, this is just sad. You can't treat your own people like that. So yes, you have your official photographer, but you can't now isolate the media from being in a strategic position,
right,
because they're also trying to export your product.
Yeah.
And I definitely would like to see that change. I understand you have your paid photographer, but the press photographer should be in a strategic location to get quality photos.
Yeah.
So I stayed over on the balcony. I ain't like trouble. I had my 400 lens. Some you get good photos, some you don't get good photos because the distance. And then look what happened. I think Kareem ended up telling Cleve and Dean they can move closer. So I didn't follow. So then shortly after, those guys came back over, and I like, what's going on here? Somebody told them they can't be there.
Yeah.
So we need to fix that for the 70th God Spare Life.
Yeah, I think what's happening, and it wasn't just for that Queen show, we're experiencing it for a lot of government events, the national events, and they're saying to you, we're going to take the photos and we're going to give them to you. Or you can take photos from this angle or that angle. And what they don't realize is each media house is really going to, and even the photographers, it's a different story. You don't know what story I'm going to write and what images I'm going to be looking for. So if you're going to say to me, well, we're going to take pictures and we're going to share them with you and you can write a story. No, that means you're controlling the media. You're telling me what story I should write, what images I should put out, and what your story should look like. That's not how the media works, and that's not how photography works.
That's
freelance photography works either, right? And most of you also work for media houses, whether it's BVI News, the Daily News. Is it the Daily News and St. Thomas? So all of us work also for different media houses. So you're saying to us, in other words, we're going to control what story you put out. And I find it happening constantly with government, that there's an emphasis to try and control the media, what the media present, how they present it, even what they should wear to a press conference. Of course, I do whatever I want to do, but they keep pushing the boundaries, and it's really kind of where there's something that needs to be pushed back on, because it's not a good look. You can't give 10 media houses the same pictures and say use those and write your story. No, you need to have access, free access for the media. Now you can have requirements where, let's say for Kevin's funeral, you say, well, the family doesn't want you to take pictures of the face or in the cup. You can do those things, and that is okay. But just really trying to control every aspect of the media, I think, is where things are falling apart here.
I agree with you 100%. We cannot be running a dictatorship in a democracy. And I'm going to show you the tricky part with what you were talking about, they sending you photos. And that's disrespect if the media house has a photographer.
Of course.
And you sending photos to them for them to use.
Correct.
I can't buy that or sign off on that.
Correct.
No day of the week.
No, because the story that they may want put out, that may not even be the story that I want to tell. I might want to come from a totally different angle. You might want to come from a totally different angle, and the photos that they're sending to us doesn't tell that story. So you're limiting us, you're controlling the message that you want put out. And I don't want to say I don't think that they're looking at it like that. I think they are actually looking at it like that. Let's decide what the conversation is going to be, and we're going to make sure that the media is doing what we want them to do.
Okay, so I'm going to get back to Carvin. So let me finish with the Festival and Fair Committee.
No problem.
Actually, in the meeting, I could say one of the questions I asked. I said I was here the first 14 years. I had no problem. And why all of a sudden there's so many restrictions? Because I remember when I came home 2008, Marvin Blyden was the chairman. I never had to call him. Then they moved to Trevor Grant. I never had to call him. Then Colonel Klein, I never had to call him. Like I said, I had to call Dirk Walters twice. I must say, every time he was willing to help me. And I just basically saying we don't need to go through that. And the word I used in the meeting, why are you guys putting a chokehold on the press?
Yeah.
And I'm not going to change what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, and something else I was to say about
And I remember
that
in
meeting.
Dre's conversation, Dre started telling us about what was happening
In St. Vincent.
in different other Caribbean islands.
Yes, this is BVI.
In other Caribbean islands, he started saying, "Oh, this is happening there, and we need to catch up, and this and that, and yes."
Yes. So, okay, if they want to be press friendly for, let's say, the 70th, I have a suggestion. Small community, we need to all get along. You know, they have I think the committee has a booth in the village.
Yeah.
So let's say downstairs, make a booth for the press. Tables, chairs.
A rest spot.
Not only a rest spot, so let's say between artists, you could edit, you could write a story, Dean or myself or whoever, they can have their table, they could edit photos. Because I'm in late night, when you reach home, you put it on your camera, you're going to bed.
Yeah, a rest spot.
So if you get if you get a chance to be comfortable and be ahead, I think that will be very good. So I was saying I have to tell a little why I felt disrespected by Dre for this reason. So let me do a brief, like Cleve Farrington, he went all the way to Qatar to cover the BVI athletes and other places because he was on the Olympic Committee. Dean Greenaway, his resume speaks for itself. I think Dean should have a OBE. That's the highest honor, I think, in the land.
Okay. For his work in sports?
For his work as a journalist over the years.
Okay.
I hope I got the letters right. But Terry Chenery had one. That was the highest honor, I understand.
OBE.
For the land. OBE. Oh, okay. So Dean Greenaway been doing this thing before computers, before internet.
For a long time.
Yeah. And Kelvin, I think, is head and shoulder above all of us. If you go to JTV and see some of the work and some of the money he told me he invests in his business, I felt bad that Dre, living here so long, was so comfortable, stand up and disrespect. And my work speak for itself. I don't like to talk about myself, but I'll break down a few things for you. I did a 500 photos CD at the BVI. Then I did a book, I think in 2019. It was photos of Hurricane Irma, the first 51 pages, and the other 100 was beautiful BVI. Nice,
you did a book?
Nice book, yes.
I didn't see that. Like a coffee table book?
Yeah, I saw it and walked with it.
Okay.
524 photos, beautiful photos of the BVI, covering everything. And then I had photos of Hurricane Irma. I didn't want to, let's say, make a hurricane book and make money off of photos. I said, well, let me combine beautiful BVI along with the hurricane photos. I think I sold over 100 copies and I'm happy. And part of my retirement, I plan to do my second book, which will have 565 photos. That's tying into my retirement year, which is this year. And I hope to make it bigger, better, and cheaper. I've got to change up the company so a lot of people can have my handiwork.
Okay. I mean, I would love one of the other books too.
Okay.
I didn't even know that was around.
Yeah, I'll hook you up.
Okay.
And I just love photography, and I gotta say this, not patting myself on my shoulder. So I'm in love with the BVI. So I like to say I was made for the BVI and the BVI was made for me. It started all the way back in 1995. I was living in St. Thomas. I lived in St. Thomas 31 years. And then when it started in 95, although I came back 08, so what happened, I had a friend at the mooring, so every time I come up from my high school days, I would go and check him. And one day he said, Shadow Man, one of these times you come up, we gotta go sailing. Not knowing, don't make me a promise. And I'm about the essays. So we went out sailing, I think it was 13 of us. And everybody was blown away about the beautiful BVI. And it was like, when are we going to do it again? When are we going to do it again? And believe it or not, every year I did it, except last year there was a hiccup. So I end up seeing the beauty of this place. So I have a lot of photos. And I could tell you something more. When I retire, I plan to put a website together. And I'm going to be marketing the BVI, marketing myself. I have some stuff I want to do for retirement. I can't tell all. But when the tourist board going to look at my website, not bragging, they're going to like, wow.
Okay.
Yeah, I got a kind of pride.
Well, you've had people said what to you? You don't have to say it. But I mean,
okay.
it's important.
No, it's two compliments. It's two compliments.
It is compliments.
It's two compliments.
Compliments.
It's two so here it is now.
Kind of fickle in the BVI.
So I went to Anegada. I go there on a regular. So now I went to a lobster fest and went with a friend. So I never went to the conch shell mount. So now I decided to go there. I was blown away. I think it was funny because I'm Mr. Beach Boy. So when I got there, I didn't know what to look for. So people in the water swimming is shallow. And I like, oh my God. I dressed up because I was going to move around the lobster fest. So I post some photos on Facebook. So I could call his name. So Sappy Pilgrim lives Caribbean. He has USVI tie. He said, Shadow, I appreciate what you do for the BVI. You do more for the BVI than them jokers there at tourist board.
How you put a man on blast like that?
No, he's a straight up guy like me.
I love
know.
Sappy.
Yeah. So I was like, I ain't remember what I respond, but ain't like, that's his quote, not me.
Yeah.
And then another day I go on to St. Thomas. I'm in the waterfront. I saw Ken Burnett. He ran for governor. He has Just Van Dyke's roots, but he lives in St. Thomas. He said, boy, I'm so glad to see you. You don't promote the BVI more than them people at tourist board. I said, hold it on. You the second person tell me that. So at least I'm saying that to say, at least some people are looking. Some people will diss you, but some people appreciate and see your work. And you know, sometimes I say, boy, the frustration I go through here, I should just quit. But then I like, no. Let me bring in Andrew Foy here now for a reason. Over the years, when he gives speeches, I will always remember he said, every man is given a God-given purpose on earth, and he should fulfill it. And then I said, oh my, so it hit me hard, because if I quit and make the haters win, God gonna punish me, because my purpose is to take pictures. That's my gift, my blessing from God. So I say I should not, and I cannot, and I will not.
Absolutely. So if we have to think about improvements for 2024 festival, specifically with photographers and media and their access to the events and so forth, what are your suggestions?
Okay, I probably have a laundry list. So number one, let's be press friendly. We should have easy access. And it's something you were saying earlier about attending events. Let's say BVI News Online, 100,000 photographer, one reporter. That's two persons. And to me, we shouldn't be writing for permission, because that's just two persons. It's not like you have 6, 7, 8 guys trying to attend, you know. So I had a little situation where on the reggae night, so went home after work, got my little rest, I got there after 10. To my surprise, outside was like Juve morning. And I whoa, it's a long line. So I went by the gate where they let in cars. So I'm like, I asked the security officer, I'm the press, can I enter here? He said, no, you gotta go around. So then I end up standing there like 30 minutes to get in, and I don't think that's right. I think that should be fixed.
Right.
Yeah, you know?
I think you could have definitely moved to the front of the line and show your pass to get in. And I could feel where, you know, maybe you'd feel like, oh, I didn't want to push myself through.
Yes.
But I think you could have definitely do that. I also feel like security on that side, where the cars were going in, they weren't very friendly. At least to some of the press. I had my run-ins with them to the point where I was like, all right, they're really trying to pick at me, so I'm just gonna walk away from this. Like, you could feel, and it's very unfortunate, because I guess people, you know, they get in positions of some sort of power, and they kind of use that you know, whether they like you or they don't like you, or, you know, their feelings tonight, they want to exert. But they could have definitely let you in on that side. But I believe that with the press passes, you don't have to stand in the line. You can,
Okay.
because you're going in to cover the events.
Yeah, so one I don't
But if the
understand.
media can probably make that very clear, not the media, the organizers can make that absolutely clear.
So what you just said, what flashed to my mind, if you are legit press personnel, why should security be hassling you?
Right,
You show up with your pass,
right, right,
easy access.
right.
So that should not happen. All right.
Well, people get in positions of power and they kind of abuse that. It happens quite often. I think we're having a conversation this week on, you know, the Z-Rod talk show, and it was really about the domestic and the international flights and the way they check persons at the airport. And there was a domestic flight going out to Anegada, and the security literally was kind of hassling, you know, like the deputy premier and some others that were going out, and the way that they wanted to frisk them just to go over to Anegada. And then you had someone who called in and said, you know, one of the security said to me that she is glad that she's in a position where she can make them feel lower than her, basically. So people abuse their powers in all sorts of ways. I get it. I see it coming at me. You probably experience it in different ways too, and you just have to sometimes just walk away. And I experienced it a lot for festival last year, to the point where I just didn't go anymore. I just I was just tired of the entire setup, the entire process, all the hassle. I just didn't bother to go. I went one night. I attended the Juve. I went to the parade, and I was done. I didn't even go Carrot Bay. Okay.
So, well, I hope there's a segment here that you will participate, spread the word.
Yeah. Well, I hope to. I mean, I love our festival. I remember one time, I don't know if you remember, you had the opportunity to meet Kindoy. Maybe not. You said you moved home in 2008. Yeah, Kindoy.
That was the guy who got murdered?
Yes. Okay, yeah. Very close friend of mine. And I remember one year I went away during festival, and he caught an absolute fit. He was like, "You're not supposed to leave the territory when it's festival. That's the time that we celebrate emancipation." And I went on. I did take a vacation, and that never happened again. I remember once I never traveled. If I had the ability, if I was living outside the territory, and I could come home, I would come home. But I never made the mistake again and traveled around that time. So I do celebrate it. It's something that I think all of us should be a part of. So it did bother me a little bit that I felt like I needed to sit it out. But I'm going to be a little bit more participatory this year from a lot of different angles. So we'll see.
So let me go back to Calvin Malone's funeral. Dean Greenaway, myself, late Calvin Malone, we were class of 1976. I got there before Dean, and I think I got the message the day before that we cannot be on the bottom floor. And I didn't understand that. That why you isolating guys like Shadow and Dean, who are bona fide, who've been here for the country, who like to promote the country. Why should we be isolated while you have, as you said, public events? So we on the second floor of the complex. Yes, you have your zoom lens, but you cannot capture certain photos you want to. And I think that should be stopped. Just like you said, okay, just give us a memo. Don't post any photos with the casket open with a body.
Right.
And that should be understood.
Yeah.
And I feel bad to know that your own people kick you around. I'm gonna make a little point here now with the Virgin Islands Daily News, who Dean worked for.
Right.
Their readership daily is over 60,000 people. and that's saying something.
Yeah.
And I know for sure, because I lived St. Thomas 31 years. I used to work Pueblo Supermarket, and the Daily News will come there every morning. We used to work early shift. So, you know, them boy come in before 7, before the store open. And I know for sure the Daily News photographers can't get treated like how they treat us here, because when you look at the photos, you know nobody in telling them, well, you go to the left, you go to the right. And let me switch to graduation. So I had a situation at graduation where three photographers went to a meeting.
That's all graduation?
Yes, Elmo South High School. And actually I had another issue with H. Lavely South Community College. So met with, I think, management, and they put 2 guys. One is Roberts, I don't remember the other guy's name now, but they do sound. And they were in charge of the press. So look what happened now. So I went there and made my requests, because in the past, you know what I learned? If you continue to let people ride you, they will continue riding you like a donkey.
Right.
So over the years, they isolate you. They don't want you to take pictures. It's just GIS, and they only hired photographer. So then I said, well, let me go to the meeting, make my request. So my request was, I need to be in a good position to cover photos for BVI News Online. And then there was some pushback, and I guess now the person in the school now responsible for the graduation, I'm not going to call her name. Once again, we're a small community, and I will say, my hiking partner, that's her cousin. Okay. So me want to come and divide the person, and she come ask me, why you calling out my family like that? But she said something to me that I didn't like. She said, mister, it's our thing. In other words, we're going to do what we want. And I didn't want to continue the meeting. I said, I ain't come here to look no fight. So what it is, sometimes now you have to go over their head.
Yeah. So
Cleve worked with me most of the time, and then one of the guys had problem with Cleve, and when I call him and tell him about the pass for Cleve, he said, no, Cleve ain't got no pass. And I like, who is this guy think you talking to? I said, Cleve is Shadow is Cleve. And then now Cleve had to end up calling the minister. We shouldn't be disturbing them. I think if they put people in charge, they're supposed to use good, sound judgment and not get caught up in this tug of war.
In the personnel, yeah.
Yeah. So anyhow, the last day, the day of the graduation, I think that's when I learned, well, yeah, you could shoot photos. I think I had to call Miss Crab. And then I did tell her I want to come and sit and talk to her for a little bit before the graduation season come around. So I didn't forget Miss Crab. And so I saw a lot to say with the Daily News. So check this out. So Dean worked for the Daily News along with the Island Sun. His daughter was graduating. And Dean, now like a foreigner, got to wait on the side to take photos of his daughter graduating. I was in a position where I'm the family photographer. My sister, who works for the Premier office, her son was graduating. And I just feel like I can't be in a position to take a photo of my nephew. And they're telling you, you now got to go through the GIS to get your photo. That sounds like sense in modern times. And I'm going to show you another risk with photography. You let the GIS guy be the guy to take photos for the parents. And you know what could happen? When your son or daughter, when he's going to take the photo, you know what's going to happen? Somebody, she go close her eyes. She might not be looking in the right direction. The photo could be blurry. And so there's a lot of challenges. And in other words, you could shoot the whole graduation and your car to crash on you.
Yeah.
So what I'm saying, we can't get caught up,
no backup.
And think, thank you, you need a backup. It's always good to have a backup. And I'm going to show you what happened again now on the graduation day. I'm a mechanic. I ain't a mechanic. I do photography from like 1977. I bought a camera. '05, I bought a digital camera. So I like to say, well, I official from '05, but then I just love it. So I always have a camera. So as I walk in the room on graduation day, you know what I saw? The band on the stage. And let me simplify it for you. So you have speakers on the left of the stage. You have, no, you have speakers, about 4 or 5 persons on the left, about 4 or 5 persons on the right. The band back of them. I'm saying all this to say, if you could like speak to photographers, you could have a better setup. So this is a perfect case scenario. Your daughter is graduating, receiving the certificate. There is nobody in the background. So let's say Elmer Stout High School class of 2023, 2024. You will be seeing your daughter or son receiving their certificate with that in the background.
And not a bunch of people in the
Yes. And this is what John Black told me one time. So we have good conversation. So Sydney up there wear a short dress or skirt. And sometimes the camera catch you when you might not be in your best position. So it's a lot of reason why. In other words, let's say set up your stage in a way where there wouldn't be this, what let's call it, loud noise or a bunch of people in the background, because you want your child stand out.
The aesthetics, aesthetics,
Yep.
Right. All right.
And then let me make it short. With H. Lovely South Community College, I started to shoot photos, and they tell me, so you can't be here.
You can't be here, or?
I was shooting to the side. I even wasn't shooting to the center. So I had to go upstairs. I even couldn't post my photos. That's just like disrespect, you know. And what it is, I don't want to be rude, so I'm putting these things.
You couldn't post your photos?
Yeah, because you.
They didn't come out well,
no,
or you were told not to?
Well, what it is, if you're on the lower level, the graduates on the lower level, you take a good photo up close. I up on the balcony,
right?
And they're not even looking at you,
right?
So I'm saying all this. Well, I say I'm happy to be here. I don't want to go through that kind of frustration again this year, because it's like this. So I legit, I have a trade license. I work for the press. I certified, bona fide, qualified. Long story short. And I have to take all this run around. So what I'm saying now, if I decide to be rude and say I'm moving, so it's like you interrupt the graduation, security got to remove you. That should not be the focus of the graduation. The graduation is about the students. And while we're on graduation, I also want to say, I can't understand why sometimes we have cults, we set in our ways, nobody want to change it. It's like a graduation should be an hour, maybe an hour, 15 minutes the most. This bunch of talking is not necessary.
Oh my God.
This bunch of people on the stage is not necessary. Create a nice stage where the students...
Sometimes you almost feel like, is it about the students, or is it about, you know, them, you know, the other people celebrating themselves and patting themselves on the chest, etc. Yeah, it's something that we keep going through here, right? I mean, this afternoon they had the, you know, they've done the new Marine base. And they had the handing over ceremony today, and it's a beautiful building. Job well done to James Stadman Construction and Design Trojan Development Limited. I think there are 2 local companies, but beautiful building. But thank God the presentations were short, but about 10 people spoke. And I was like, why is this necessary? Like, I'm telling you, at least 10 people spoke at that thing this afternoon. So yeah, it's like, I don't know. It's just too much, what do you call it, pomp and circumstance.
Yeah, and nobody want to change it.
Yeah. Graduations are what, like 3 hours long? At a minimum, right?
Yes,
it's
2
crazy.
plus.
It's crazy.
Yeah, and most of the time you will hear people go to the in the States or graduation, hundreds of students, 1 hour. Because sometimes the same arena have another graduation.
Right after
you got to be in and out.
In and out, in and out. I mean, what do we have to say?
Yeah.
What do we have to say for an hour? One person is speaking. But we're going to take a short break on that, and we're going to come right back. Welcome back. We on a new episode of Cut Deep. It's a new season. We're happy to have Andre Shadow Dawson on our set tonight, photographer extraordinaire. And we're just having a candid conversation as it relates to photography, media, events, all sorts of different things happening in the territory. And it's great to have his input on that, or, his position. He's been with government for a while. He's done a lot and seen a lot of the BVI. So I'm happy to have this candid conversation with him tonight. And I want to dive back in, Shadow, and I want to talk about, I want to kind of merge two questions that I want to ask you, and that is about our young people, their attendance at the village, depending on the artist, and also, there was some controversy last year surrounding a specific artist and the lyrics that came with his delivery, or some songs that he has that some of us found inappropriate. And we kind of had the conversation because, we're going through kind of a period where there's a bit of crime, more than we're used to. In the BVI, and some of us were basically, saying to the premier that, it's kind of different, you can't control the content that comes over YouTube and other things like that, but, putting that kind of content on a stage paid for by government on a national event, and, the public consuming that, the young people consuming that, and, there are parents that government is good with sharing this type of content to people, to young people. Talk to us about that. I think that you have a view on it.
Okay.
And some experiences you had with the village.
Okay, yes. Okay. I'll start out first by saying the Festival and Fair Committee, the government fund them last year to a tune of $1 million. By the way, did you hear how much the 70th, did they announce that yet?
I don't think the government fund, did they give them $1 million? They spent 2 point something million. I think they're saying they made $1 million, I'm not sure, and they raised $1 million. So yeah, maybe the government, I think the government gave them about 1.2 or 5,
okay,
something
I
like
think
that.
I remember they started out with 500,000 and they get another 500,000. Okay, I'm saying that to say the government funding the Festival and Fair Committee, I believe they who receive the fund supposed to, let's say, spend the money wisely, in the sense that the private promoter now, sex sells, gangster lyrics sell. This is the new era. Okay, so I'm saying the private promoter, I understand he got to make his money. That's different to the government.
Right.
Giving money to these guys, and they're going to bring in what I call artists who are going to sing slackness and gangster lyrics. And the night with Jada Kingdom, it bothered me. It bothered me a lot. You know why? I guess I old, man. I know I old. 13, I will not exaggerate, 13, 14, 15-year-old were in the village after midnight. And then the same festival and fair committee trying to put a chokehold on the press. But you are happy and it's no problem taking $40 from teenagers after midnight to watch Jada sing Slackness. And like I said, we all agree you're too powerful. And you know how amazing? Because I am not into Jada. They're cheering them singing the songs.
They're familiar with her music.
I like OMG. So times have changed. And I basically saying, clean up your act, festival and fair committee, and be careful of the people you select to come and perform.
Yeah.
That would be me. It have this song, by his deeds shall a man be known. There's a part in the song that says, you know, like, I guess he's pointing to the guys who sing gangster lyric because, you know, them boy like lick shot. She said, you ain't gonna know how it feel until you get it. You know, so I'm saying I'm not for gangster lyrics. I'm not for sex sells at the festival committee.
Yeah.
I'm a grown man. A promoter put on these artists. I don't got to go and spend my money.
Right.
Yeah, I could stay home.
Yeah, because for me too, it's not a music event, and I think we're going so wrong in terms of the festival and trying to figure out exactly what it's supposed to be. As far as I know, it's a celebration of our emancipation, and that is kind of what it should be focused on. I think it's being treated as another music event. And I think also this brings me to the question too of the cost to attend to celebrate your emancipation. Personally, I think it should be free. I've said that before, and I think, you know, some of us have had this conversation as to exactly why can't it be free? Because the government is saying that it stimulates the economy. If the government is pumping in $1 million to stimulate the economy, then why can't the event in itself to be free? Does the government have to make back the money? Is the money actually coming back to the government coffers? Because the Festival and Fairs Committee hasn't been audited. I don't know if it has actually ever been audited. So we don't necessarily know what they're making, where the money is going. There's a difference in giving a report on something and an actual audit happening. And I don't think the Festival and Fairs Committee has ever been audited. But, you know, coming back to the point, I would love to see it be free. I would love to see it be more of a celebration that reflects its purpose, which is emancipation. I don't know if it can come back. I think we're far gone in terms of what we're experiencing.
I have a little note there. All events should be free. I agree you 100%. Emancipation is about freedom, and my thinking is let it be free. Not because, don't say, well, let's look at because St. Thomas Village is free. I'm looking at it also. The booth owners over the years, well, the village is always full, so some of them say, well, they gotta be making a profit. So I believe you should give them a chance, whether they're in there 7, 8, 9, 10 days, give them a chance to, let's say, do well. Because if you're gonna give $1 million, I also against outside entertainers taking away the lion's share of the money out of the territory. So I'm saying put that money towards, balance your account so that everybody, visitors, residents alike, could enjoy the 70th and you shouldn't have to pay. So even though chances are they're not going to listen to you or I like where you went with the monies. Okay, this is my thinking. And somebody just say, well, boy, we different. We just different as a territory. I believe if the government, let's say you're the head of the festival committee, they give you $1 million. And I think the only thing, if I'm the premier, and all I am asking you, in a month or two, I want a printout on how you spend this money, whether you're over or under. And I have a note here. Let's say if they are collecting money. By the way, today I read something about St. Thomas horse racing is May 3rd. They're asking you to get your tickets online. And this is modern time. Like last year I went Florida to horse race, Kentucky, went to a Miami Heat game, and you go online, you get your ticket. When you go, they just scan it. This is modern times. So what disturbed me, like I said, the night I come there for the reggae show, village was chalk, as they say. I would say like Juve morning, and then I see all these children, and I like, they collect, all I say like, they collect a lot of $40 tonight. And I'm asking myself, how can you collect all that amount of money in the night at the gate?
Where does it go?
I don't know what the protocol is. I mean, that ain't my business. I'm going to drink my water. But I'm saying in modern times, that should not happen. And this is, I wrote a note. Okay, have ticket outlets, that's one. The persons coming from St. Thomas via ferry, have a booth somewhere there on the waterfront. You get your tickets. Coming in at the airport, you have your tickets. This is modern time. Get your website, tickets on sale for this show on this date. This ain't a hard fix. You ask it, I'm not going to really want to answer where the money gone. That's a lot of money you collect. I don't have security go to the bank right away. I don't know. But we got to change that.
I mean, yeah. And I mean, I don't know what to say either. Like you say, it's a lot of $40 to collect at the door. And although the pre-sale tickets, the lion's share is sold at the gate. It's sold at the gate. And like you say, I don't know what the protocol is. I don't know if security takes them to the bank to deposit money. I don't know if you could deposit that kind of money overnight. Whose house it ends up at. All of these things have been conversation for quite a few years. You've had names called and thrown around. We're not going to get into that, but we really just don't know what the protocol is and what actually happens. Even Virgin Gorda Festival, people are just sitting there collecting money. Where is this money? Who accounts for the money? You just don't know. Like, is everything counted? Do you count every single band? Like, if you have 100 bands, is that counted out? At the end of the night, did you sell those 100 bands? Is the money that is there,
simple accounting,
adds up to these bands? Just all of these things, but we don't know. Because like I said, I could sit down and I could prepare a report and pass it in, but who is to say that that report is accurate? Correct. And that's why I said, like, they need to actually have an actual audit on the VI Festival and Fairs. I don't know how far back it should go. Maybe if it go too far back, a lot of people end up in jail.
Should be 1 year at a time.
But, you know, they should at some point start having audits for Virgin Islands Festival and Fairs. I think it's one of those organizations that it's about time they reel it in. It's one of those organizations where
I was laughing when you were talking about in whose house. So I had a flashback when I was living in St. Thomas. I used to play softball. So 1 year they did not give any trophy because the treasurer said he was keeping his money at the house and they're breaking the house. So I was laughing because, like, to take that amount of money at whoever house, whether it's a pastor or whoever, that just ain't acceptable in modern times.
It's not. It's not at all.
Because
it's not at
somebody
all.
Like, and one thing I always learn, the criminals looking at you, but you are not looking at the criminals.
No.
And then this is talk to her. She gone home with a bag. We're gonna find a way to rob her.
Yeah, but you know what, Shadow? It even goes a little deeper because, in my mind, the government wastes a lot of money, and the government is so hard up on making festival and event that you have to pay for, like they so need to get this money back because they don't account for it. Because if you're not doing an audit, you really don't care if the money comes back.
And then
a report comes in, and who says that that report is anything? So how do we know who's caught up? It could very well be a scheme. I'm thinking out loud that you're so hard up in really making this event free to your people, because if you say you're stimulating the economy, car rentals, people come in, they spend more money at the booths if they don't have to spend at the door. Why are you so hard up in collecting this money that you can't account for at the door? Who's getting this money? Are ministers getting the money too? Other government officials? I'll take it. Why? Because it's just not adding up. And it's a lot of money at the door. It's a lot of money. And we know this money. None of the banks drop thing can accommodate that kind of money at night. They just can't.
And then somebody got to stay there to count the money.
Of course, y'all can correct me, but I don't believe that those drop boxes can accommodate that type of money you're saying you're collecting at the door.
And who's going to be there to write up the slip?
Exactly, exactly. Yeah. If you start thinking about it, it won't add up. And the fact, again, I'm going to say that government is so adamant. I think it's one of those holes where if you really dove in, jail walk. Yeah. But
you speaking.
We can go on to something else, and that's the thing about Cut Deep. It's a candid conversation.
You're not shy.
I say what I have to say.
Yes.
Your position is your position. I always say to people, just keep it where it is. Say Cindy said, don't put that on the guest or whatever, and so forth. But it is something that is a valid concern, something that persons in the community continue to talk about every single year. And I think maybe it's time that we ask the government, why is it so difficult that you can't make our Emancipation Festival free for every single person to be able to celebrate? Because if I can't pay $40 a night, and then you have to consider families as well, right? So parents have to think, all right, maybe 2 of us go tonight, 2 of us go tomorrow. What if we want to go out as a family? You know, I don't agree with having to pay to celebrate the emancipation. Charge us for everything else.
I agree 100%.
Yeah. So we'll see what the premier comes up with this year. I understand they have another press conference coming up in a few weeks. We'll see what updates they have to bring for us. Do you think that photographers should be paid to cover like national events?
Okay. When you say national events, I will basically say for the festival, okay, let me piggyback to last year. Just my observation, and I didn't rent Village every night. So one thing I see, I'm not here, I ain't come here to bash.
We're not bashing.
I about the good, the bad, the ugly.
And let's fix
Sometimes
it.
you still got to be honest. Okay, one observation last year, instead of the festival and fair coming in, bringing in an MC from overseas, paying him for a week, paying his hotel, paying his meals, what they did, they hired a lot of the local DJs, and I give a thumbs up to that. So when I see that, I said to myself, photographers should get paid also, because I look at it, if you're given $1 million, I believe in spreading the wealth. And I'm going to say this, John Black and I is good. He's a guy I look up to for advice. So my advice will be to the Festival and Fair Committee. Okay. Although they say what tourist board going to run it this time. So I don't know how that's going to work, but this is my thinking.
Yeah, that's a whole other
Okay, let's say John Black is over this subcommittee for photographers. He know who the photographers are. And I will say, whether you pick 5 or 6, whether he want them to shoot the whole festival or give them certain events. So basically, I say the DJs get paid, photography, when you analyze it, you'll be documenting the history.
Right.
And I think the more photos you get, the better. And I'm about incentives. So let's say you putting out your marketing for 2025 and you have 5 or 6 photographers. Let's say we use one photo. You should give that photographer, boy, we choose this photo to market 2025. Let's give him a little extra compensation. So at least you know, guy's gonna put in the real work. It ain't about getting a check. You know, that's my thinking,
Yeah.
honestly. A lot of my other fellow photographers say, why should one man be getting a contract all the time? And my business, but then I think in all fairness, spread the wealth around. And even if, let's say, what I throw out, if black don't select me, I'm vexed.
Yeah.
You know, I'm a survivor.
Okay. We have quite a few controversies as it relates to Festival for 2024, whether it is, the Festival and Fairs Committee being moved under the BVI Tourist Board, and whether that was done legally to, the horse racing. That's another big controversy. We don't know if that's going to happen. That's a big part of our heritage, a big part of our culture. Quite a few persons have spoken out about it. How do you feel about it? The possibility of it not happening. Like, you have some of the best photos from the Ellis Thomas Downs.
Thank you. I don't know who pay attention.
Yeah.
And what it is, most people know me about being on the track, and almost every day I will have conversation about.
Who does nobody miss you, Shadow? Your hat turned backwards. We spot you everywhere. When we see you coming, we get your best self so you can get the best shot.
So as you said, I'm gonna give you a little joke. So one time, a guy I work with, he said, "Shadow, I see you were running more than the horses." Because sometimes if they start at the top of the track, I take the gate bust and then I will run back down to the end to catch a finish.
Right.
So it's something I like, something I love. I started doing it around 1990 in St. Thomas. I did radio work. I did TV work with Channel 12. I came told I did work with JTV. It's just something I like, love. It's part of me. Okay. I had a conversation yesterday after laundry. I went by a establishment. We always talk horse racing once we go there, and he said, I know ain't gonna happen this year. So this is April, August. I could honestly say it will be a miracle if it's gonna happen. And sometimes promises are not good. I remember the premier last year saying there will be races for the 70th. So now he gotta come with a spin. I don't know what it's gonna be, but talk told her, word on the street, not bashing the family. One of these players and I very good. I even asked him about the situation with the track and the government. But they wanted, that's not official, they said they want to increase in the money. And what it is, if it's too high, definitely the premier could come and tell the public, I can sign off on ABC.
Yeah.
Yeah, but
well, I found out some information too from some members of the family, and a lot of things that we were hearing in the public space are actually not true. And I think that the last thing that I understand from some members of the family was that there was a meeting set up with the family and the premier to handle the matter, because the family too seemed to be willing to put the matter to bed, get horse racing back going. And the premier canceled the meeting. He didn't give them a reason why. Some of them were traveling from as far as the U.S., because, our families live all over. He didn't give them a reason. And to date, he hasn't followed up. He hasn't given them a new date, nothing.
Well, obviously.
And then there was some other information that was relayed to me, and, our premier could be quite a piece of work, unfortunately.
Okay, so
yeah.
I'm gonna say something that might not be popular, even though I'm a horse race junkie. It takes money to run horse racing.
Yeah.
So when you go Florida, Kentucky, New York, Maryland, and you see the level they're at, we hear like running race day to race day. And sometimes down there they will tell you they only make money August and Boxing Day. You know, so I was saying the best case scenario down there actually is a little messy for this reason. The Thomas family owned piece of the property,
Right.
the smaller part, and I think another guy in St. Thomas Forbes own a bigger part.
Right. And then government owns a piece.
Yeah, and,
right.
and so that in itself, I was saying
It's
now,
messy.
the best case scenario, you need an investor with real money to run horse races in the BVI. So
Well, maybe if things weren't so chaotic and messy and all over the place, the red tapes, the bureaucracy, the little squabbling, maybe people would want to invest. But, you know, if I'm going to invest my money, I want to understand the climate of what's going on. And if I'm uncomfortable and it's too messy, I'm not going to put my money in. So maybe the environment, the climate isn't, you know, appealing to an investor.
What I know for sure, why an investor is not going to invest if there's no parimutuel betting or simulcasting. In other words, you got Ellis Thomas
Where
now.
you can make your money.
Yeah, you could bet on races outside of Tortola. You could bet on races race day.
Yeah.
So I guess you could help me with this question.
I'll try.
Did the gambling bill officially pass?
Yes.
It's officially passed?
Yes. Yes.
Okay.
What they're supposed to do now is to put the commission in place, and they can't get around to doing that. And that is one of the things I don't like about us. We do all these legislations, but we never follow through with things. So the legislations, we can say like we have more legislations than we have a lot of legislations on our books. Are they useful? Absolutely not, because a lot of them we haven't put what needs to be put in place for them to be functional, for them to have teeth. So they have to put a commission together, so they can't get to that yet.
So a couple of things. Now, if you have an investor...
And I think I think it was passed in, I want to think it was passed in 2020. But it's about 2 or 3 years.
Okay, so what I'm saying, if you bring in an investor with real money, a couple of things going to happen. He's going to have parimutuel, he's going to have simulcasting, he's going to have parking, he's going to have tickets at the gate, he's going to have all the drinks, and for my sake, I will let some local vendors operate the food.
Right.
So now he will able to make his money because he controlling almost everything. And a couple of things going to happen. He going to run twice a month. He going to assist with horses, and you're going to want every gate full because that's how you're going to maximize your money with gambling.
Right.
You know, so I think the best case scenario, you need an investor with money so we could go forward. But to just say you want horse racing and then it's like now and again, I don't know if it's worth it.
Well, you know, Shadow, I feel like government, and I say it often, government is too involved in every aspect of the BVI. They're just in everything. And I know that we have gotten used to that, but that's kind of like a noose around our necks in terms of development. Government is too involved. Their hands are in everything. Government shouldn't be running horse racing. There are a lot of things happening that government shouldn't be running or involved in, and they're right there. And so, you know, the thing can't develop well. Lesmo feels like we've outgrown the space down in Seacoast Bay, period. So maybe we should take a hiatus from horse racing, figure out where it needs to go. He's saying,
but you're not talking
and then go from there. Huh?
You know, that's the thing about Tortola. We don't have much space to
Well,
put on
space.
a track.
We'll have to develop some of the barren lands, but he's also looking at taking it to, you know, one of the sister islands. He's spoken in depth about a space in Virgin Gorda. I don't know, but he feels that we've outgrown that space anyway, and the government, you know, pumping money into it will be a waste anyway. I don't know. So, but I don't think at this point it's probably not going to happen.
I don't think so. This is April. Races are May. You got to get the facilities together. You got to get horses. You got to train horses. You got to buy horses.
Yeah.
So I think this won't happen.
Yeah.
It will be sad and unfortunate.
Yeah. I want to get to, there's a music fest conundrum. I don't know if we want to talk about it, but we could maybe go on to, we can come back to it. Or local entertainers and the way they are handled, your perspective on this. And, I think there are some entertainers they are international entertainers, but we still handle them so badly, I think. Where do you come down on this?
Okay. Thanks for that one. Like I said earlier, I do not believe a lot of money should be given to outside artists. Let the local promoter do that if they want to do that, and they think they could make their money. I have no problem with it. So I'm saying all this to say, I'm going to highlight two local guys, Jugu Sproul and Vibes. I think they are at that level now where you say they are big time. And I don't move around. Big in St. Thomas, big in St. Croix, St. Kitts Independence. You see a video that they're playing one of his songs. So I'm saying you won't have to pay Vibes hotel, meals, tickets. So I ain't for this lot of money. And okay, let me simplify it. Let's say you bring in one big reggae artist, one big dancehall artist. You could do a Latin artist and reggae dancehall, soca.
I was going to say, don't forget soca.
Yeah. And you could have your headliners, and then you have a lot of local acts in between, because if you're saying the locals can't draw, they're going to come for the international act. But I kind of learned, do have a good following at home.
He sure does.
So.
He sure does.
And let me go to Brent Hoyt. I'm not hiding it. That's my nephew. One talented young man. And I know Durkee know music, and he know Jugu and Brent value and talent, and I don't believe they should be shortchanged. And Brent is so international. I think the last place I saw, they went to St. Kitts on a boat ride. I like, whoa. So he been around most of the Caribbean islands and in Georgia. So I basically saying, feed the local guys,
And don't mishandle them. Don't mistreat them.
Correct.
All right. You're about to retire, but you've worked a lot. Your job, it takes you around immigration, tourism a lot. Like, how do you feel about the processes in terms of people coming through, what they have to go through as not just the tourists, but even, locals coming home, coming back home, that whole chaos down there on the waterfront. I call it chaos. You may not call it that, but I call it chaos. Like, how has that been for you for the time that you've been?
Okay, I worked immigration for 9 years and a few months. So I don't want to come off like this is about a bash on immigration.
No.
This is about the territory in modern time. We're selling ourselves as a top tourist destination. Our trip from St. Thomas to Waterfront Road Town, and then sometimes you still have to spend 1 hour in line to be processed. This is 2024. That need to change. So the sad thing about that, I remember the government invest 5 or 6 million in a new system. So
Immigration system?
Yes.
Okay.
So now I'm thinking, boy, we're gonna have a major improvement with immigration processing passengers. That was my thinking. So I'm gonna tell you this before I continue. Now, over the years, most countries, you have an exit system. You live in a country, so they swipe you out, So that's your legit alibi. I was not in Antigua any longer. I was in Tortola at a certain time. You cannot tie me into this crime. Let's say a nice alibi and for a good record. So we invest in that system and we still don't have an exit system. So I'm saying that to say, you hear they're having problem with the census. So I was wondering one day, I wonder if it's because a lot of persons here are illegal that they don't want to cooperate. So simple, let's get back to technology. So you invest in a system, and I just naturally thinking, let's say 100 visitors enter the BVI, regardless of what port, airport, seaport, Virgin Gorda, just like that. So X amount, you're gonna know X amount leaving in 7 days. So let's say the eighth day you go in the back office, boom, 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 type up, pull up your stats. If we had the exit system, so you know like 7 or 10 persons did not leave the territory. So now every visitor should have a lodging address. The same by Sydney, the same by Shadow. So now immigration will come and like why this person is not out of the country. And then it's a couple of things. I know some people come here and they just exit to the USVI without going through the system. As I said long ago, go through the window. And then there are certain person will just stay here and not leave. And I know like illegal aliens with the border wide open, it's kind of almost hard to shut down the whole entry of illegal aliens. But then I believe immigration should do a much better job on that one. You gotta have an exit system. This is modern time.
But is this $6 million system, is it working? Are they using it?
Well, they're using it.
Okay, but they're not using it effectively.
I will say. So my other thing now, what I want to say, in modern times, if the ferry companies in St. Thomas, they, let's say this should be the new protocol, they email the manifest to Rotong Immigration, let's use the waterfront, and they know in advance how many persons coming up on the vessel, how many are resident belongers,
right,
how many are visitors, etc. And I kind of believe the ferries now should add something where they have their manifest breakdown. But let's say myself, I have a U.S. passport. They're going to say born in the British Virgin Islands, but they're going to register on the manifest as U.S. Whereas, let's say they should have another box that says, it's a U.S. belonger. So I'm saying all that to say, when resident belongers come off the ferry, they should have that line. And in my honest opinion, if it's 30 persons, that should take no more than 2 minutes because all you have to do is verify it's you, verify it's me, and you keep moving. And I can't understand in this modern time, how can citizen resident belonger take so long to be processed on arrival because everybody passport got to be scanned.
Is it to keep people in jobs?
No, everybody passport got to be scanned. But what I'm saying, if you have all the citizen resident belongers, you could go back in the computer, pull up the manifest, enter Cindy, enter Andre, and I don't think that should be hard. And then visitors traveling, some people take 2 days to get here. They get up 3, 4 o'clock. They get here, and sometimes there are 2 officers, sometimes there are 3, once in a while there's 4. All I was trying to say, be consistent. This is modern time. Processing should be a lot easier.
That makes sense.
And quicker.
That makes sense. We got to wrap up now, so I want to ask you this question. As you are about to retire, I want to ask you what next, and I also want to ask you about the charitable aspect of Andre Shadow Dawson, your photography, what you give back to the territory or to the younger people, or if you could wrap that together for us.
Okay, thank you. I'm including you in my retirement, so I hope you don't say no. I'll give you the little light stuff first before I go to big picture.
Okay.
You game to do skyline?
You mean
Zip line.
zip lining?
Zip line, yeah.
Hair?
Yes. I want to do that. I want to do that when I retire. I have 2 persons sign up, so I just need person who have the courage and the
Oh my God.
so that I
think
could.
I have the courage.
Okay.
I'm wondering if I have the courage in the BVI. Well, I mean, I could trust my people, I guess.
Okay. All
I'll
right.
think about it.
Okay. So the smaller stuff, I want to travel a lot. I'm willing to sometime go to Florida, spend a month. I got to rebond with my sons because I lose them after the storm. You know, so sometimes I cry for my sons. I'm a little emotional because they're teenage boys. I wish I could be part of their life on a daily basis. Now they're at that stage in life, but sometimes you wish you could write your own life script, but they don't work
Sometimes
out that way.
things happen.
Yeah, but I'm going to be there for my boys. The bigger picture, I got to wait till X amount of things fall in place. I'm going to work on my book, as I mentioned earlier. I'm going to be a senior citizen September 2nd. I like to, sometimes these senior cruises always popping up, and I like, whoa, I hope when I turn 65, there's a very low price. I love sailing. I think that's one way to celebrate. I got to upgrade my equipment. And the biggest thing, this would be the perfect case scenario, but I don't know. I'll try. I'll give it a try. Okay. I have so much photos of the BVI. When I walk by Craft Alive, I'm disappointed seeing some of the t-shirts, and a lot of them are cotton. And then when you look at it, you're on a cruise, you go to St. Thomas, St. Kitts, St. Martin, Tortola, and sometimes you're having the same type of shirt, only thing that island change. So what it is, I would like to invest in high-end quality t-shirts, multiple shirts, because I have my idea how I'm gonna create them. So what I would like to do, why I said best case scenario, I don't want to work hard after retirement.
Yeah.
I don't want to say, I go in on Cane Beach to sell. I would like to go to some of those same vendors. Instead, I go live in the country, going to St. Martin to shop. So I want to find the right people so I could sell them at a good price. So being retired, I would just like to stay home and collect my check and travel, you know? So that would be the best case scenario. I'm gonna pursue it. And I also gonna work on my website. I don't have a concept. I have a local guy I'm gonna talk to, and then I have somebody in St. Thomas I could talk to. So I will see which way I will go.
Wonderful.
Yeah.
And that charitable aspect of your
Okay.
of Shadow Dawson.
Okay. In the past, I did photography for some of the schools, Agape, Ivan Dawson, Leonard Delville, just on like primary. So you remember earlier I said not being a rude boy. So it started way back in high school in 10th grade. So I had the ultimate compliment from room teacher and conduct. He is helpful, he is well-mannered, and he's a polite student. So I give back to those schools every year in my business honor the most polite, helpful, well-mannered student.
An award?
Yes,
Or, okay.
a plaque, yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
A plaque.
Yeah,
Okay.
so, and my giving back to the territory, I promote the BVI, the people, the culture, and the territory. So that's my way. Secretly, I'm marketing the country.
Yeah.
And sometimes they say you can't pay for that. And sometimes I get comments, a lot of people like, for the fact that I go all over the place, a lot of people who don't move around, they appreciate the various photos from Tortola and the outer islands.
Have you thought about doing maybe photography within the, well, within the junior schools, the primary schools, like sharing your skills with
Okay.
them, classes.
Well, one
something.
time, for Career Day, I spoke at Leonardo Delville Primary School for 30 minutes. I was well received, and I was happy and honored to do it. I I give little incentive. They read my bio, and then while I was speaking, I said, "You all listen now, listen now. I have a little incentive." So they had a chance. I think I had $10 each winner for the question. Had a chance to buy a special at the school. So it was fun, and I enjoyed that. But to say pick up teaching, I don't want my retirement be
Not teaching, not like
that be
not,
part of it.
Yeah, not like just like sharing your skills, maybe to set them off in that field. There might be some of them interested, maybe, you know, maybe you sharing what you know, maybe just maybe once a week, just not, you know, going into a classroom and you sit there and you're teaching that. Yeah, just like, you know what I mean?
And as you said that there, so sometimes like why I said a while ago, sometimes I cry for my sons because at this stage, I'd like them to be working with me.
Yeah.
And I'll give you a nice story. So I have a good camera. I got married in Georgia in 2021. So I obviously couldn't take photos of my own wedding. So there was a relative of my wife. He took some photos. Then he had to leave. And then the next day, where my wife lives in Georgia, there's a good backyard. So then she ended up telling me, like, I want some photos in my dress in the backyard. So I say, why not we? So my sons, they live in Florida, so they were in Georgia. And they took my photos in the backyard. I edited them, and nobody will know that it wasn't a professional photographer who did a job.
Nice.
So I wish they could have been around me so I could have imparted my knowledge. Because like I said, the little one, the last one, so much like me. I think when he was about 2 or 3, I buy him a little camera, and he went to a family social while I was working, and they were telling me he's there taking pictures. It's amazing. You look at your daddy, and he was doing that, taking pictures. And then he said, "This is my best Christmas gift ever." So I know it would have been a natural for him.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, he still has time. Well, Shadow, thank you for sitting in with me tonight. We're going to call it a night. I know there's some more that we could get into.
Yes.
Maybe we could do a second round. I don't have a problem with that. We
Okay.
could do that. Thank you so much for coming and sitting in. Maybe once you go on retirement, we can do another go round. You have more to tell us.
Yes.
Thank you guys for tuning in with tonight on Cut Deep. We have a very special guest next week. I will share who that is a little closer to the date, because you know people get into your conversation, they're like, oh, don't go on the show, whatever. So I'll share our guest next week at maybe closer to the date, but we have a very special guest. It's going to be a heavy conversation, and we look forward to having that conversation or imparting that with you guys next week. So tune in next Tuesday, 8 o'clock. We promise to be on time. I think we've gone through the technical difficulties with Facebook. We've sorted that out, and I now have to go home and recreate on my broadcast list. So again, I apologize if I wasn't able to share how I normally do. Tonight, my broadcast list just decided to disappear on me. But have a good evening, and thank you for tuning in tonight.